A netizen shared this Weibo post, which talked about the epidemic prevention situation in Beijing, China. He noted that on January 14th, safety fences were set up surrounding the Chaobai River area. It was said that this was done to prevent people from crossing the river. In the meantime, tents were also set up near a bridge, and particular individuals were arranged to monitor the situation throughout the 24 hours. A netizen mocked, "It is a beautiful border wall." Another netizen mocked, "The wall that President Trump failed to build was made possible by Chairman Xi Jinping." A netizen shared this picture showing security personnel blocking residents from coming out. And this netizen commented, "COVID-19 has lasted for an entire year. Ever since its initial outbreak in Wuhan, China, COVID-19 has reached the world for an entire year. But looking at what the Chinese Communist Party has done and is doing to contain the virus, other than locking down cities, locking up doors, locking up individuals in their houses, and censoring and silencing speech, despite its massive cover-up, it is clear that its battle against the virus has failed. To be frank, at the fundamental level, it is exactly because of its cover-up that directly led to this failure." What is ironic in the meantime is that many Chinese people, if not most, all believe that China, under the CCP's leadership, has long succeeded the battle against COVID, and that all the measures taken and campaigns launched by the CCP have been effective. A netizen that appears to be living in China shared that after the team representing the World Health Organization arrived to Wuhan yesterday in the TV broadcast, a few China correspondents of overseas newspapers tried to interview local residents in Wuhan. A few that interviewed firmly expressed that it is in no way and by no means possible that COVID originated in Wuhan. This again shows how massive the CCP's campaign of cover-up has been, that even the memories of people in Wuhan, the original epicenter of the pandemic, seem to have been replaced. A netizen replied, "It is a plain joke when the Chinese Communist Party claims that it would allow the World Health Organization to enter Wuhan to investigate the origin of COVID." Back when the CCP still insisted that no human-to-human transmission has occurred, a well-known scientist in Hong Kong had already arrived to Wuhan, but escaped immediately afterwards. He said that the initial and primary site of the outbreak had already been cleaned up. There is no possible way to identify the true origin anymore. He also said that the infection rate of COVID will be 10 times that of SARS. Now that a year has passed, how is it possible that this so-called team of WHO experts will be able to identify the origin of COVID? What else will they have done other than taking a vacation using Chinese people's taxpayer-funded money? A netizen reminded, on January 14th of 2020, the World Health Organization made an announcement saying that no evidence of human-to-human transmission has been identified surrounding COVID-19. Well, in the meantime, there were already doctors in Wuhan who were infected and quarantined. This implies that the Chinese Communist Party misled the world about the truth of the pandemic, while the World Health Organization helped the CCP amplify this tragic lie, which resulted in immeasurable damages all around the world. A netizen shared that a year after the COVID outbreak in Wuhan, China, the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services delivered a speech at the Heritage Foundation this Thursday. In the speech, he criticized the Chinese Communist Party's cover-up and unwillingness to cooperate, which ultimately turned an initial outbreak into a global pandemic. He also suggested that if the virus emerged in a democratic nation, a global outbreak could have been avoided, as opposed to an authoritarian government in China. A netizen shared this article, published on February 21st in 2013 in Jinan Times, with the title, "The Evolution of Novel Coronavirus Can Result in Human Infection." A netizen shared this article published on Sohu back on February 23rd of 2017, with the title, "This lab in Wuhan plans to research the most dangerous pathogen in the world. It is likely that this research will be approved by June of 2017. And just beneath the headline in the beginning of the article, it noted that the Wuhan Institute of Virology is a part of the P4 Labs network that has been established. A netizen shared this article published on January 4th of 2018 with the title, the first ever P4 lab in our country has officially started operating. It is dedicated to researching the most dangerous pathogens. A netizen shared this Weibo post and also embedded as part of an article back on September 18th of 2019, which said, "The Military World Games taking place in Wuhan this year is just around the corner now that rehearsals for the novel coronavirus infection has started." A netizen shared about the vaccination use in China and said, "Many executives working for an airline company in Shanghai have had adverse reactions after taking the vaccine, such as feeling dizzy, sleepy, and experiencing loss of mobility." A netizen shared that a New York State representative made an announcement on Thursday that he had tested positive for COVID and has been quarantining at home, but he had already received 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine and has been following all COVID-related health protocols as well as regulations. A netizen shared this article regarding an investigation that has been launched in Norway after dozens of people had died from experimental COVID-19 vaccine side effects. A netizen shared about the leftiest ideology and said, "I once also identified myself as a leftiist, but as I grow up, I began to feel many cultural norms, and in particular the movies, are toxic, even though they are presented in the package of independence and liberty. They are completely segregated from real life. I began to feel that the radical left has a dangerous agenda for self-liberation, or doing so in the name of pursuing justice." A netizen shared that Joe Biden invited Lady Gaga to sing the national anthem at his inauguration on January 20th. A netizen shared that fences were set up in Washington, D.C. in case of violence occurring at the inauguration. A netizen replied, "Perhaps every single senator should be given a body armor." A netizen shared this news that a lawmaker in New York is attempting to seize body armor from civilians and make it illegal to buy the protective gear in the state, and this is according to an article published by the Washington Free Beacon. A netizen replied, "Banning guns, banning body armor or protective gear, banning speech, banning big crowd gathering, banning all negative discussions about the president. Then, if these happen following this trajectory, it's hard to imagine what may follow, as by then, essentially America will have become a totalitarian country."
Take you in. Child, we will bring you home. You'll be a flower that sees the spring. Soon a dove flying